So when it comes to the prices of cards within the collecting community, I typically just watch and let things happen. Within collecting communities, I mean, sports cards, anything that's really kind of like a free market, uh, prices tend to just kind of stabilize themselves and work themselves out. But for this card right here, the first edition LOD Injection Fairy Lily PSA 10, I kind of felt that I wanted to weigh in on this and just kind of give my take on what I believe is just really mostly hype around this card that's driving up the price and kind of leading to an inflation. I know a lot of people will complain about inflating numbers within Yu-Gi-Oh cards and whatnot. Uh, like, well, Dark Magician Go from being a good example of that, reaching in the $2,000 range of some people asking for it, and people complaining about price hike ups and whatnot. And normally, like when I see that kind of arguments and complaints, I just like scoff it off. If cards are priced too high, people aren't going to buy them, obviously, and if they're priced too low, people are going to pick them up like mad. But with the Injection Fairy Lily here, what we have is kind of a unique thing where really we're kind of seeing one of the first really low pop cards within Yu-Gi-Oh collecting and uh, just grading as general. That isn't like, I should say, a low pop because if it's just a rare card. Because Injection Fairy Lily is not that rare of a card. A Legacy of Darkness First Edition, like it's not a very rare, scarce set. You can get those packs, you can get the booster boxes quite easily. There's quite a few of them out there. I mean, it's nothing like compared to Invasion of Chaos, Magician's Force, or Dark Crisis, where those booster boxes and those blister packs are very hard to come by. So getting this card isn't that bad. I mean, you can go on eBay right now and Injection Fairy Lily First Edition Legacy of Darkness, you can pick up this card for 30, $40, a lot of them. They're not going to be Gem Mint 10s, most of them, but they'll get 9s probably easily. And there's always that off chance that you can get a 10 or that the grader just isn't strict and that you do get a 10 off a card that maybe shouldn't get one. But regardless of that, what I'm saying is that really Injection Fairy Lily is just kind of the first example of supply not meeting demand within the Yu-Gi-Oh community is what I feel like. And the pop on this card as a PSA 10 currently is 13, so that's quite low compared to a lot of the other cards that are like secret rares and high rarity, high value that are $500 or more. A lot of those cards are in the pops of 50 to 40 to 50 for PSA 10s. And then with the Injection Fairy Lily, the pop 9 is at 35. So that's quite a big difference, 13 to 35 between pop 9 and pop 10. And we all know it's mostly to do with the centering of Legacy of Darkness because of how bad it's notorious for being. And what that does show is that the difference between getting a 9 and a 10 is quite difficult. So it is one of those chase cards, one of those hard to get cards. Injection Fairy Lily is for sure. But I don't think that also just completely justifies this card selling for what was recently $1,300 on one sale, and on another sale going for 850 to 900, I believe. I think the person had to pay like $20 shipping fee or something, so it busted it up quite a bit. So, or boosted it up a little bit on the price. So, yeah, like 850 $900 range. That's quite exorbitant for this card. And just to like go through that, you're talking about a card that's now worth more than the Jinzo, which Jinzo is quite easily to get now because of how many PSV boxes there were and available and how many they were open. So Jinzo's probably taken a bit of a hit, but still like such an iconic card, such a playable good card compared to like Injection Fairy Lily, where really your demand for Injection Fairy Lily is mostly due to scarcity. But then let's look at some better examples maybe, like Chaos Emperor Dragon. Like such an iconic, really good card that's banned, was such a hot card. Um, People wanting it like mad, and was going for quite a large amount back when graded Yu-Gi-Oh cards just weren't that expensive at the time. They were just kind of starting to become a trend, I guess, or a collecting community was starting to build up. But yeah, Injection Fairy Lily, like $1,300, way more than what a Chaos Emperor Dragon PSA 10 First Edition has ever sold, as far as I know. And then what about some like really vintage stuff like Gate Guardian here? Well, that Injection Fairy Lily price that shatters anything that I've ever heard of Gate Guardian selling for. And also even all three Exodia pieces or not Exodia, but Egyptian God card pieces from the GBI Prismatic Secret Rares. You can get the whole set, probably two whole sets, for as much as that $1,300 Injection Fairy Lily sold for. And then even worse is probably like a Dark Magician LOB First Edition. You're talking about like, the cream of the crop here as far as Yu-Gi-Oh! Collectible cards. The LOB First Edition, the almost face of the franchise. Really, probably Blue Eyes would be the face of the franchise, but Dark Magician's a really close second, considering it was Yugi's card, and he used it throughout the entire anime. Not a very good card, but like obviously an iconic card. And for 1,300 for a second print run, the non-wavy foil Dark Magician, you could get that for less than 1,300. I'm quite sure it'll be probably about 1,000 or so, but yeah, just the price comparisons of like what this Injection Fairy Lily recently sold compared to what else you could get for it is just quite extreme. And I think that a lot of that is to do with just the hype. So many times I've seen collectors talk about pop reports and just have this huge emphasis on pop reports. Well, pop reports aren't necessarily a determining factor of value to cards. It's a really more of a tool to be used to see what it is or how many available and whatnot. Now, obviously, pop reports can affect the value of cards, but it shouldn't be the sole driving price. Injection Fairy Lily, First Edition LOD, PSA 10, obviously difficult to card to grade. When this card was back at 550, like maybe a year ago or so, maybe like 8 months, maybe probably not even a year ago, I thought that was a little high, but compared to how difficult it is to get, and it was a bit higher than a lot of the other secret rares and ultra rares from vintage Yu-Gi-Oh that are quite sought after. That's more than what Change of Heart and Mirror Force were going for, but I was fine with that. I thought that it's a hard card to get. I can see it going for that. That's not too exorbitant. But 1,300, that's the DDS Blue Eyes PSA 10 sold for 1,350 not too long ago. So when you're talking about 1,300 for this card, you're just kind of got to be sitting there thinking, is that really worth that much? Like, is it gonna really compare to other cards that I could get for that amount of money? And then part of the reason why I'm saying that Injection Fairy Lily has got an exorbitant price or just way too much hype around it is because you can also look at another secret rare from Legacy of Darkness, Yamada, or not Yamada, Yatagarasu, the spirit card. That one's also got quite a low pop. It's a 21, so not as low as 13, but still quite low for PSA 10. And then also has 35 for PSA 9. 35 or 31, I can't remember exactly. So that's also an example of a card with, Legacy of Darkness, same issues, kind of hard to grade, and that's fetching nowhere near as much as what the Injection Fairy Lily is just like spiked up to here recently. Yatagarasu, probably like $400, $500 card, which again, being a hard card to grade, I can accept that it being a little bit higher than some of the other stuff. So then, you just gotta wonder, why is it that Injection Fairy Lily, I mean, it's a little harder to get pop, probably, but why is it so much more expensive than what, like, say, Yatagarasu, when all the reasons for it to be expensive is the same as Yatagarasu, where, it's hard to grade, easy to get, hard to grade, but iconic card, kind of. Even Yatagarasu is probably more of an iconic card than Injection Fairy Lily, I would almost say, because it is a spirit monster, and spirit monsters are quite popular. And then it was also banned for so long because of the Yata lock, or the Chaos Emperor Dragon Yatagarasu lock that would just win you the game if you comboed those cards together. So you just have to kind of wonder why it is that this card is spiked up so high just so recently here. And considering that, you can get this card as a raw copy for 30, 40 bucks all day, every day almost, maybe even 50 if you want to get a better copy, like a premium, you can get 50, 60 for like a very mint or near mint copy that maybe just has some centering issues that could possibly get a 10, for just the 50 to 60 raw card, for it to be selling for 1,300 as a PSA 10, does that really make sense? Because one of the most common things that collectors say when collecting grading cards is that you're buying the card, not the grade. And that's sometimes easy to forget because when we're using PSA as like determining factor on prices because of what grades they give the cards. So I mean, compared to a 9 compared to a 10, like it's often easy to forget that you are buying the card, not the grade. But when the grade is kind of determining the prices on these cards, you lose that sense. You know, you lose that um, identity that it is the card just within a plastic case. That's, you know, the card itself is what the value is. It's not what the PSA grade is. But that is my take on the Injection Fairy Lily. I do believe that as time goes on, there are going to be more Injection Fairy Lilies grading. Um, you know, you can think about it like this way: 13 PSA 10s, 35 PSA 9s. So you got a total of 48 just there between the PSA 10s and PSA 9s that are, you know, those are like legitimate cards that could get high grades. And then you compare that to like, you know, Gate Guardian. I think Gate Guardian has a pop report of 10, a pop report 10, PSA 10 first edition of like 55. So you can combine the 9s and 10s together of Injection Fairy Lily, and it doesn't come close to meeting the Gate Guardian's 10s. Those are just the 10s. I didn't even count the 9s and other grades that Gate Guardian had. So obviously more of these Injection Fairy Lilies are going to get sent to PSA and graded because of the high price that they are now fetching. And as that's going to continue, you're going to see that PSA 10 pop report rise, and it'll reach 20, in the 20s easily. Not long here. I think I've got 2 of them that could possibly get 10s grading at PSA right now. I know I sent at least 1. I can't remember if I sent 2 or not. But it's Legacy of Darkness is kind of a trap set, I feel, almost, as far as price-wise. They're going to be difficult to get, but they're not impossible by any means. And so I think shelling out tons and tons of money for Legacy of Darkness because the idea that they're going to be incredibly scarce and hard to get is going to be a mistake in the future. And instead of going for high rarity, high scarcity cards, go for the stuff that you know has solid value. LOB, anything first edition, anything wavy foil, the first print run. I don't really like calling them first print run, but yeah, the wavy foil first edition LOB cards, like those are solid investments that they're gonna shatter anything Injection Fairy Lily sells for in the future. I can almost guarantee you that. And I mean, right now I just bought a first edition PSA 10 Monster Reborn with the wavy foil on it for half the price of what this Injection Fairy Lily sold at $1,300. So I could have bought 2 of them, and I can guarantee you probably within like 2 years, maybe even a year, that that Monster Reborn will be quite, well, I'm not sure about a year, probably 2 years, will probably be quite more valuable than this Injection Fairy Lily. But that's just my take on it. Yeah, Injection Fairy Lily, I feel it's just an overhyped card. And if you buy into the hype, I think you're going to be making a mistake that you'll end up regretting later on. I could be wrong, though. Things will play out, and we'll see how the pop report does and how grading does. I'm quite certain that, for sure, the Injection Fairy Lily pop report's going to hit like 25 at least within the next, I don't know. I mean, PSAs takes pretty long to grade, so probably like 6 to 8 months, but yeah, it's just an interesting trend. I've never seen a Yu-Gi-Oh card quite hit the scarcity of like this Injection Fairy Lily, where the demand just rose so much overnight. It's incredible. Like Injection Fairy Lily has always been a highly wanted card, but not $1,300 worth. But yeah, that's all I have for today. And as always, thank you for watching. And you can check out my Instagram account. I've been posting more on my Instagram now because I finally have a new phone. My old phone broke, so I had probably like a whole month of not posting anything to Instagram. So I've got a new phone now to actually make Instagram posts. And then also my eBay account with cards that I'm selling. And very soon I should be getting back a PSA submission of about 114 cards. So that'll be a nice video to look forward to. But that's all I have, and thanks for watching.